Well, I'm basically from Northern Virginia, but I know I'm in the same area because you got the same traffic we do. In fact, the same cars as far as I can tell. But in any case, what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about the larger context of your struggle here in Mayfield about the chemical tank cars. And so, Kevin, let's move quickly past that one. And this is the picture that was shown several times in that video. It shows the CSX rail cars of chlorine tank cars coming with the U.S. Capitol building 4 blocks in the background. Now, actually the Rayburn building, a house office building, is only 2 blocks in the background. But a couple of things to notice are that there are roads that go right under these tracks. I mean, you know, you can imagine very easily a white van or a truck with an enormous amount of explosives parked right underneath this, waiting for these cars to come past. And also, of course, the tracks are rusting and so forth. Let's hit the next one. In fact, these are a different kind of tank car, but the thing to notice here is not only the same rusting track, but the fact that there's beautiful graffiti on all of these tank cars, as if we want to cheerfully advertise every day that we don't have any security in the United States rail system. If graffiti taggers can get access to and do their beautiful work on the sides of these tank cars, what does it say about security in our system, right? In other words, the railroads don't even take off the graffiti. They've given up. It's an insecurable system, like the lady said. You can't secure 142,000 miles of track. Exactly. So let's move along. So what we tried to do was show that, look, there's 2 ways to go up the East Coast. And, you know, Fredericksburg is going to come in right south of Washington and Baltimore on this. But, I mean, there's a CSX line that they call their I-95 line, you know, starting down here in North Carolina and running that way. And then there's the Norfolk Southern line that runs 60 miles west of the D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia area, and that goes through little towns like Luray, Virginia, like I mentioned before. I mean, the fact is, I talked to the emergency manager in Luray, and he said, well, Fred, you're doing the right thing to try to reroute these cargoes onto the non-target line. He said, you know, I mean, unless you physically pick up the U.S. Capitol building and move it out here to Luray, Virginia, we're not a target, are we? Now, look, what I'd like to introduce to you guys is the idea that Fredericksburg could be a target, because you are in the Washington metropolitan area. But let's look a little further about that. Here's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of tank cars that carry propane and can put out an explosion like this. And this is an actual accident that somebody was able to film in Illinois. Okay, that's called a BLEVE, a boiling liquid evaporating vapor explosion. And it happens when a tank car just gets hotter and hotter and finally just explodes. Now, ethanol, I don't think will do this, but lots of other tank cars will do this. Okay, next slide. I'm sorry, could you go back one? Notice, by the way, there's residences and all right close by here. I mean, this is a very serious release, but it's also a spectacular picture. I mean, if you're a terrorist, what is it that you want to do on television? You want to have a spectacular, right? And some of these cargoes can do that.